Good morning and welcome back to the channel. This video is an absolute banger. I wasn't even sure how strong this deck would be, and I recorded the intro before getting into the games, and I had to actually go and record it for you guys over again because I have a bit more insight onto how the deck rolls out, and it's honestly much stronger than I thought. And to kind of show you what I mean, we played 6 games. I'll be including these 5 for you here because this one here I was just winning on even and they forfeited. But these ones here, incredible games. Even when I made mistakes, we're still able to get significant value. It has the potential to win on even round 1, to bleed round 2, and it plays well in shorter long rounds. So it's got pretty much everything. We even have extended removal reach. There are a couple matchups that I don't think it will do too well into, Scoia'tael being one of them. Syndicate might be a questionable matchup as well with Jackpot. I haven't ran into it yet, but I can just anticipate with all their control, it might be a bit of a nightmare. But everything else, all the greedy decks that are going around right now, we have an answer to with this one here because it's equally, if not more greedy. So we'll get through the deck list here. We have Ethne Young Queen, and we are Devotion, so she is going to be transforming into Ethne Wrath of Brokilon. And if we pull into Ethne in early game, we don't want to keep her in hand because we have a lot of hand buffs going on, and when she transforms, she's going to be losing those hand buffs. So try and mulligan back Ethne in round 1 if you pull into her, because obviously we want this here. With the Symbiosis and the additional 2 tokens with Symbiosis on the board, we're going to be getting great value from the Symbiosis payoff, which is whenever you play nature cards, spawn a Wandering Treant in a random allied row and set its power equal to the number of units with Symbiosis that we control. So it doesn't just end there. We have more cards in the deck that have Symbiosis tags, but this is a really good round opener proactive play to help set up every single special card that we play for the rest of the round. So definitely want to get this one out early. Now, leading into the next card here, we have Simlast Fin. Now, this allows us to play all copies of a bronze special card from our deck. So what we're going to be going for with this card 9 times out of 10 is going to be the Bountiful Harvest pair. There might be certain times where we need to go in and take Rebukes, Circle of Lives, or Dryad's Caresses, so you'll notice they're all in pairs, but the most points will generally come from the Bountiful Harvest. This card allows us to create and play a bronze Scoia'tael elf, and then depending on the position of it, we get to boost a unit in hand by 2. So we can use this one of 2 ways. We can roll the Dolbothana, fingers crossed that we get this and just keep recycling Bountiful Harvests, or we can try and play something that is in a similar position from the 3 created to where the Torque is to get the hand buff payoff that we're looking for with the Torque, because when Torque is boosted, it's going to boost something else by the same amount. And with Devotion being that nature's gift, I believe is stronger in Devotion, this card is always going to start in our hand here. So you could see sort of a big chain reaction. We get Symbiosis cards on the board like Ethne, the Hamadryads, and the Dual Canal Guardian on the board, and then we get these payoffs with all our nature cards, and we just try and recycle it and create a loop, ultimately carrying more hand buffs so that we can hold on to a couple big plays as finishers at the end of the round. So that's kind of how it goes here. Forest Protector is going to help into this strategy even more because we have the ability to play a bronze nature card from our graveyard. So fetching for another Bountiful Harvest or fetching for another Nature's Rebuke for removal are the 2 most common uses for it. You might find yourself in times where you want to go for maybe a Dryad's Caress if you need to purify something that is very tall and it might be poisoned or whatever the case. So keep your options open with that. It's very flexible. Now we do have a couple tutors for cards in our deck because we have a lot of top tier golds that if we don't play we might not win, right? We want to have these cards so that we could play them all. So Call of the Forest falls under the nature card umbrella. We get to play a Scoia'tael unit from our deck and boost it by 1, so we can get whatever we need, and it's not limited to a certain tag. So any card in the deck that is a unit, we can draw with this, boost by 1, play it. Now with Isengrim's Council, we have to be a bit more selective here, so we can look at a random Dwarf, Dryad, and Elf in deck and play one of them and boost it by 2. Now you'll notice with the deck here, I only put 1 Dwarf because I want to have a 100% success rate of pulling into one of our win conditions if we don't have it in hand early game, so that's a guaranteed thing. An alternative to this could just be anything we're missing, whether it's a Simlas or Ethne or whatever the case. but more than often I like to go Gord or second to Gord Sorceress Doblathana because it does boost it by 2 as well. So if we're pulling a Sorceress of Doblathana from deck and boosting it by 2, then it's going to create a Bountiful Harvest more than likely. So that's going to really help us out in just recycling and funneling that combination that I was speaking about just a moment ago. So these are the cards here. Now, we have another tutor being Fauve. I don't want to take Fauve for bronzes if I can avoid it. We want to use Fauve for our gold tutors because Simlas does the job of the bronze tutors, and we don't want to ruin Simlas or take away value from Simlas if he doesn't have a pair to pull into. So make sure you go Fauve more times than not into Icegrim's Council or Call. There might be situations where you need to maybe go Fauve into a Caress or Fauve into a Rebuke or something like that, you know, if the situation really needs it. But more times than not, you're fine with just going for these 2 cards, keeping Simlas for the bronzes. Pretty simple. More hand buffs come from Dunka. I like Dunka because she helps extend our removal reach with the order being able to damage by 3, but we can also greed her out and get tons of hand buffs. And in round 1, if we can just make our hand very lean on units and play a lot of specials early on, not only is that better for setting up our Gord for later, but it's also better for the Torque play. So getting less units to target in hand means more buffs on Torque, which means more points overall in the game. So keep that one in mind, and you'll see it works wonders. And getting to things we haven't missed, the Dwens are just here for Symbiosis and more removal reach. I feel like control is always going to prevail, so I want to have a bit more control tools here because we don't have a Heat Wave or some direct Tall Punish. So to increase the ceiling on what we can remove, let's say with a couple of these, maybe Rebuke and Dunka, it really helps out quite a bit. And something that you might not have ever seen in a Nature's Gift deck, and I'm telling you this works wonders, is the Cat Witcher Mentor. So on deploy, boost self by the number of other cards in this row. If we have Adrenaline 4, whenever a card appears on the row, boost self by 1. So think about it this way. We're getting out tons of cards with the Symbiosis tag. We're playing tons of special cards being our natures. And we're spawning tons of these Wandering Treants. So these will fill up the row, and we can just jam that row and play this as a big finisher. And if we play this early because maybe we need something proactive to do, every time we play a special and a card spawns on the row, then it's going to be increasing its power. So it plays for tons of points, right? And I just think it's really worth having here. You'll see them come down for, I think, sometimes up to 15 points we've played in the games today. So it's incredible in this way. And I'm really happy with the deck. Obviously, one certain deck is not going to have an answer to everything. That's unrealistic, and it's impossible. So there are, like I said earlier, certain matchups that you might not win, Skellige Rain, Jackpot, but most of the matchups you should feel very comfortable and confident playing, and it all kind of comes down to what you queue that day. But I can tell you, in a Scoia'tael mirror, we did prevail today, so that was really good to see. And let me know what you guys think of the deck, how you played it, any questions you have in the comments below. And if you guys like the content that you see, don't forget to subscribe. I post videos every single day at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So let's get into the games. So moving on to the first game, we have Nilfgaard Double Cross, and I don't know what it is today, but the audio sounds a little bit different. I'm trying to figure it out. I updated the application that I use for noise control in the background, and then it started to sound different. So I might have to go in, configure some settings. Hopefully it wasn't a problem, but I realized after I recorded the intro. So we'll get into the games here. We have a pretty good opening hand. Tuck back one of the sorceresses. It gets even better here with Dunka. Saw some feedback in the comments to go ahead and post my decks on playgwent.com as like a hard copy, opposed to just a shared link. I'll try it out starting with this video here. So if you click the link in the description, it'll bring you to the Playgwent website, and you guys can give me an upvote there if you like. Definitely help the discoverability as we continue to try and grow on YouTube. But for now, Dunk is just carrying. We'll go ahead and put that there. And fortunately, we get Torque off the first ping. I want to try and cycle out some units quickly so we can really hone in on just getting the hand buffs on Torque. When you see a situation like that, though, it's kind of hard not to take it, right? Easy enough. We take torque boost here. Big swing onto Simlas. What's nice about the Simlas being buffed up a little bit too here is the fact that they can't just coup it. We're not giving them like a free Simlas. It's one of the things I dislike the most when I'm playing this type of matchup. So we saw a gold card. We played a gold card. But Dunk is supposed to be played early, so I'm feeling pretty good about going ahead and putting the Sorceress down here. And sure enough, we get the pass. We can just play some specials for Gord. Just make sure we actually get ahead in the round. And as far as playing a unit here, we have a lot of our endgame cards. We could potentially go and try and take a little bit of a thin here. I see a really good example of how we can take foe to another circle. Because Circle of Life is a card that you play when you have space and time. It's not a card that you play when you're being bled or you're trying to push. So, you see what I mean? All of a sudden the idea doesn't seem so crazy, and this is what I'm talking about. I started playing these games and I'm like, man, okay, I think we're onto something here. Now we put back Bountiful and Bountiful. And normally I would consider just playing a 7 or passing. But we know that the long round against Nilfgaard is going to be very bad. And provided that Simlas is boosted up to 8 points, that with the 2 Bountifuls is pretty nasty. And also, we don't really have a lot of units in hand either, so there's a likelihood that we're going to be able to boost the torque and the Gord a bit more. Now we want that. So I'm not always going to choose what's good for the torque. There's some times where I just have to choose what's good for me right now.
Reach high into the sky. I never miss.
And I don't think we go all the way there. I'm deciding to spread out the damage a little bit. We're not going to be in the round long enough to fill that back row, but we want to get that back row stacked enough that if we do go and play the Catwitcher, then we have a good shot here. We'll go ahead and take a special while we can before they do anything about the Whisperer. And then there's consideration to go and purify the Simlas. It's a tough one. I mean, we have a couple caresses here that we're definitely going to play. I just don't want them to get the free coup off it and then do something else. So we can go ahead and purify that. Then we can go ahead and maybe take one on the Hamadryad and then maybe put down the Catwitcher. Mentor. It's only a matter of time. They should have done that, I think, a bit sooner. We still got a couple payoffs from it. It's a good quality purify there. This is what I'm talking about. Inexpensive points. Right here is a little bit underwhelming at 7. But you can see the potential already when the roll gets really full. Yeah, so we're up by 23 points. If I had access, like if the other Whisperer was on the row still, I might have used maybe our Isengrim here, but I think it's safe because we play around Tall Punish to Simlas or Hamadryad.
More beautiful. We ought to help one or the other.
So look at this. We actually are able to bleed Nilfgaard double cross from being down a card to now being, you know, even, but they've spent that leader. And the leader in this matchup's one of the most scary parts of the matchup. So now we can have an uninterrupted finishing card with the Gourd. They've spent a lot of their big assimilate engines. We've top decked tremendously. We've thinned out pretty well. I just want to think, like, I'm thinking, okay, we put that back probably, because it does us more harm than good in this matchup if we have a sorceress on the board. We can always pull it out for 6 later. So we're able to get, you know, it wasn't too bad. They didn't get the double Simlas, so I don't feel too bad. We're not doing anything with movement, so it doesn't matter. A lot of Scoia'tael players are running Saskia right now, like most of them. And the little tech they put on the front row there doesn't really do anything for us.
Do I enjoy torture? Perhaps a bit.
So we'll get our Symbiosis out there first. We discussed this in the intro. Now we have 4 Symbiosis, so the trees that we're going to be spawning, including the leader, are going to be 5-point trees should we play a special here. So it's pretty nuts. I think they just realized it's done. We had like 20-point Gourd, Bountiful, everything going on, so I wasn't too worried about it. The next matchup's probably something you guys want to see. Here we have Mages. Talk about putting back Ethne round 1, put back the 2 Bountifuls round 1. And so far, draws have been pretty consistent, if you guys can notice. Torque doing what he's supposed to do as well here. So you're probably thinking, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about that defender, right? Well, we can move it, for one, with making a bomb. Second to that, we can roll Bountiful Harvest. We have the 2 from Simlas and another potential one from Rafford's. So options for that, but we can roll into a Purify option. The odds are pretty good too. If we can roll potentially 4 Bountiful Harvests here total. I mean, even more if you think about it. But we're getting through that defender is what I'm trying to say. We'll go ahead and take probably Simlas. Next, let that warm up to a 6. And I'm deciding here, okay, if they're playing duels, they come out, play a duel, and then, yeah, we might lose on even round 1, sure. But at least we'd know soon. We'd get out of the round before they get patience on both rows. Okay, that was a good hit. That's fine. I don't think we just didn't want it to hit the 6. Either of the other options is fine. Okay, there's the big point engine. And you see, I knew we'd roll a Purify one of these days. So we'll go ahead and take it. Again, Torque is a play, it's not the play, guys, so you don't have to always focus on it. And I'm thinking we have to go take Rebuke here while this climbs. And this kind of puts us right back in the driver's seat here. Now, a lot of times you might be wanting to try and kill Raffords as soon as possible. I think Raffords is pretty annoying. But if we have limited control like we do in this instance here, I think we want to reserve it for the things like Letitia and the students. And I know I made this a little error at one point today, but in this time we did it properly. You want to use Dunk a Ping before you use Rebuke, so you get the extra points on the tree and for the death blow. I think it might have been, let's see here, 2, maybe like our 4th game or something today that was a mistake. Yeah, and at this point of the round, guys, I'm feeling pretty good because they haven't gotten what they're looking for just yet. They haven't established that patience. I think the highest they've gotten to is 2, and that's only been on the ranged row, so they haven't even been able to play one of the students on melee. We've got some good carryover here. Dunka's used, so there's not much incentive to stay in the round. And that was a pretty costly spend here. If you look at the provisions spent, they would have certainly spent more than us here. So Donimir, Rafford's, you have John Natalis in the chapter, right? I think we've played Simlas and Dunka, and we've had this many points. Now, I'm considering Protector to something, but Spellweaver's not really the target. I'm fully aware that if we do pass here, we won't win the round. They'll just play 1 turn and beat us. But you don't always have to win round 1. I feel pretty comfortable with what we've done as far as carryover. We've managed to play a lot of specials. We have some hand buffs going around here. Quite a deadly play, actually, with the Cat Witcher Mentor. It's already at 7 points, plus imagine a full row. So that's fine. A big part of the alumni play has been disrupted here. Now, it's not going to be an easy matchup by any means. It's still going to be close in my opinion, but it's that much better that we didn't let them go crazy with the Letitia and all that. So we need to top deck in some better cards here. I also want to throw a card for the pass, but I don't really want to use Symbiosis cards. I think the Guardian's probably the throw card here, just because the Mentor's too boosted, and Hamma's just too greedy. I want to keep that for later. Notice how we've actually saved full leader in the first round too. You don't have to go and spend leader with this leader like crazy. Even sometimes you can put down a Hamadryad and not put Vitality right away. So no resetting the chapter for you. A lot of decks like to do that. We just play that and win the round. So we need Ethne. I'd like to have Fav as well. And we have access. That's the best part about it. This would be the second game today, but a pretty good recollection that we haven't really missed the gold cards that we need in this playthrough. And you might instinctively want to go and take your Call of the Forest into an Ethne, but I can assure you that we want to stay patient with that.
I'm a medic. I tend to know what I'm doing.
We want to make sure we get down everything else with the Symbiosis tag first, because Call of the Forest is going to be a nature card at the end of the day. Just kind of taking a look at what they spend. No respect for boiling oil plus pings. I think we're fine. Usually when I see like core mages, it's usually just spells that they have. And this is what I was actually hoping for, is that they would have to play into round 3 and still be trying to establish patience on some of these engines here. Now, we have to go and try to remove... Oh yeah, that was... Forgot about... I wasn't capping game, I was capping screen. But, you might see a couple YouTube comments pop up. But that's how I reply so quick, because I got those desktop notifications, guys. Now, I'm not respecting an Igni either. Like, I don't think that that would be part of this matchup, but we will fix it up either way. The whole row is not going to stay the same power. But now we've gotten out some Symbiosis. We took a much needed Forest Protector before it was too late. But we want to go and we want to stack that ranged row here for the Cow Witcher.
I don't care.
And we can play him before we accidentally fill the row with Council. And then you can just play Council and whatever else. Okay, check it out. See? So I'm trying to decide here if I want to go into... If I want to go into Fav and pull a special, or if I want to go into the Sorceress, because they have damage at 6, so I feel like if we play a Sorceress, they won't really let us do much with it. If I play Fav, then it's guaranteed points. It's actually quite a lot of points too, because we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 7 with the leader, so it'll spawn a 7-point tree. So, huge artifact compression, but I'm just glad that's out of the way here. And it takes something like a Gellert, or Gerhardt rather, to answer it, so pretty good trade. We take a 50-50 draw on the Fav into a circle, so it's probably going to have to be the Dryad's Caress.
The only good human is a dead human.
Just for the amount of points we get off the Hamadryad, especially with the Hamadryad at 2 points there, it's a lot safer option for the There we go. And we have 2 turns left, so always make sure, guys, that whenever I'm playing against Nature's Gift, I can't stress how many times that I've seen 2 turns left in the game, and they still haven't used that last leader charge, so then they're losing that point if they use it on their last turn every time. I'm sure I've done it once or twice, but it's one of those things you just have to check for. And this is the scary part. It's 5, they got 2 cards left, you know what I mean? Fortunately, we're up like 20 points, and these treants spawning are no joke. Like, look at the 7s there. Basically, it's like we're adding another card to the game every single time we play a special. Playing like 2 cards per turn, basically. And like a good card too, like a 7 power. Like, that's a bronze unit point slam, you know?
Did you see that? Anything alive would be dead now. Killer spell.
That's the crazy thing about the matchup is we have so many rebukes. And we want to use them early. But then we can't use them late, and when they're gone, they're gone. Now they're sitting on like 15 points worth of charges and the last card. So when I said it was going to be close, I meant it like it was definitely going to be close, but we should just come out with the win here. I'm thinking, well, what else do they have that they haven't spent? super painful. There's 10. I think that was 6 more damage. Oh my. You see what I mean? How close it was? These alumni get scary even when they're established in round 3, but we got it done. We just have 20 points. And moving on to the next one here, this is going to be what happens when we play into heavy control. And this might have been one of the better examples we had today of a control matchup. Again, I wish I could just go pick what I play against sometimes for you guys, but it comes down to what I queue, and it comes down to how long I have to play, because the majority of the process is actually playing the games is like the fast part. Then the rest of the video making is like the long part. So look at it. Saskia comes down, Nova comes down. And this is 10.1, right? So I don't think it was completely nerfed. I think Nova's still pretty good. It's just obviously a little bit more difficult for them to remove things. And what I really like to see here are these leader charges coming out of the way. It pretty much makes winning round 1 impossible, but we have to understand that and, you know, respect that. They want to use 2 leader charges and bring out Saskia and do all that, you know. Maybe we give them a reason to use the 3rd one, and then we just pass.
Stop gargling like that.
I boost it anyways because if it stays, there is obviously a consideration to go ahead and push here. Like, we would probably go into Simlas and try to get card back, but depending on what they do, situations like that, spores kill, yeah. And then the next card comes out. So what they want to do is Temple Pass on me. And we just don't let that happen. Because we could have just kept playing card after card after card and eventually just had to forfeit, right? Because they would have been spewing out a card every couple turns, and they would have had those 2 matrons going on the back row. So quite strong play. And this is a great example for you guys as well, because what happens if we don't have any boosts on Torque? So far we've had games where Torque's been getting boosted quite well. This one here, not a single point, so it'll give you kind of both sides of it. And they go and bleed with Simlas. So they're going to go and try in 2-0. I don't see why they wouldn't. They won on even, 10 cards aside. They're going to push for it. I actually play very comfortably into a bleed. I used to feel nervous when the opponent was bleeding, but I had some training and some coaching back when, and it kind of changed my perspective at bleeding.
That's right.
Now it's kind of nice, because we know, if we know what they're doing, then we can try and tutor their bleed to our advantage here. And you see, I have the ability now to hold on to Simlas, which gives me, I would say, a little bit of an advantage over them at this point.
You've yet to see what they can accomplish.
Tried to play around making a bomb. Played right into that. I mean, either way, it's gone. Notice how we're still up on points. So, just kind of doing a deck check, seeing what our round 3 looks like. I know that at some point we're probably going to have to take Simlas, because if we don't, we might not pull into some of the golds we want. But for now, we can take that Purify, save a couple points here. Still keeps us comfortably ahead. What's nice, we have a pretty disposable hand. Really, Ethne is one of the things I'd like to save, but I don't think it matters all too much if we do or not.
At your age, at 2 centuries, you behave like you were barely one.
So we take Seer just because we have the Caress in hand. And we take, I think, Blue Mountain here because we have that unit on the front we could do quite a bit with. We kind of want to stack one row more than others though, just because we want to set up a Cat Witcher Mentor. And yeah, that'll be good for now. And obviously they're going to go and answer that here. Again, doing just fine. So I decide to go and play that now, no reason not to. And we have to maybe look at dumping Torque soon, because Torque's not working out this game. Oh yeah, actually there is a bit of something I didn't do here that I could have done here, is we could have actually just purified the Treant in the back row, except I didn't bother. No good reason for it actually, and I could have taken that here in the back row. It just, at the time I was jamming cards because I saw the finish line. And just looking back at the play here, I'm showing you guys that's probably something we should have done. I don't think it would have mattered all too much, but I do think that it matters. And obviously another thing here is we play Fav first. And I'm just going for the Thin. I don't want to play Gord. I think Gord's going to give us an advantage over them. But I do take a leader charge here on the Hamadryad to kind of tempo ahead to a point that might provoke them to pass. Now, I don't love the fact that Ethne is going to lose the boost, but I do think that we want Ethne into round 3. If they play here, we're in a spot where we kind of have to go and play. And if we purified the Protector, we might have had enough points anyways. So that costed us, I would argue, an Ethne, just because we didn't take the Purify on the Caress. It might have been tied. I might have had to use a second leader charge. It's kind of up in the air, but either way, it costed us an advantage. But I do think that we have quite the advantage coming into round 3. They spent Gord. They spent both charges of Oniro. Saskia is out of the way. A lot of those good cards are cycled through. They might have top deck into Milva with nothing to do. So we have some advantages here. The only disadvantage is that we only have one unit to give Vitality. And that should just be enough. Big Gord Slam. They spent Heatwave and all that last round. So there you go, right? So pretty comfortable win regardless. We talked about ways we could save some points, but at the end of the day we got the win. I'm just pointing those things out so you guys know. Going on to the next game here. And this is the game I was talking about earlier. There's like little situations in the second round that I probably would have changed, but I can't remember exactly what they were. I'll point it out when I see it. That's a pretty good hand. We don't want Bountiful. There we go. So good balance of units to specials here. We can go and play these Symbiosis units first before we start cramming the specials. So we got the Northern Realms Witchers coming out. If you guys haven't seen, I posted a Northern Realms Witcher's deck. I tried to bring them back a few days ago, and I think we actually brought them back a little bit. Because before that, no witches on the ladder. And now we're running into a few matchups, so feels good. I think it's really healthy for the faction to be able to have something else that people are playing.
I'm much better at that.
So they read my mind here with me just removing that Erland easily, but I think we can just go and float. Go ahead and float these charges here because there's things that I might want to remove more. And if they click Erland round 1, I don't mind a whole lot. So Maxi coming down's a bit slow here.
No one gets to fool me twice.
We're probably going to pull a Bountiful. I'm surprised it took me that long to think about it. Just play the card. Seer's nice because Seer boosts torque. But Seer also works with the Caress that we have in hand.
Be our downfall. This I have
Our turn's not over, you can play the card. Yeah. There you go, Q. Looking back at some of my plays, man, I'm just like, what was I thinking? But sometimes you just cramp. We can probably take one. Because I want a Temple Pass. So I'm thinking we take one, but we don't take both. And sure enough, they said, nah, that's too many points. You see how we did 40 points off like bronze cards? It's nuts. And again, in this matchup here, Torque it's one of those matchups where Torque's like not super overwhelming, but that's why I'm showing you it's a play, it's not the play. I find when cards are used to an extreme, like when you build a whole deck around a card, then sometimes it doesn't really allow us to appreciate the card just by being a good complementary piece rather than a centerpiece. I'm trying to decide here if we want to cram it, because I play Igni in mine, but a lot of people play Yrden in their Witcher decks, and we know that it's coming. So if I go into a long round 3 and they just slap me with the Yrden, it feels like a cheap win. So I want to see if they can earn it here.
What's going on about this Mark fella?
I don't know if I fully decided at this point, though. We'll know quickly if I play Ethne. So, no, I'm still kind of dipping my toes in the water.
The only good one is a dead one.
And they're doing a very good job at playing subtle little plays. I'm expecting them to really swing shortly.
You gotta dodge. You gotta have the.
Trying is the easy thing.
Now, here's kind of the breaking point. We go Ethne or we go Simlas.
You are no
Again, all I want to see is a Yrden. I don't necessarily want to spend everything we have here, so although Ethne could have been a few more points,
illusions. You've yet to
we
see
still
what
have
they
plenty
can
specials, and we'll go ahead and take that here. I think we're going to go in with Ethne. Having seen Ethne being boosted in hand now to 11, the fact that we're going to be losing those boosts going into round 3 tells me that we just need to play the card.
better than this.
So that should just be fine. Looking back, I should have taken Tempering here, I believe. So that's kind of a whoops. It does save us the points for the next 4 turns of them not being able to use that order. That's one thing. But Tempering, I think, would just be more points. Caress wasn't ideal there. I mean, actually, Caress would have been the most points, but it wouldn't have been ideal on the Hamadryde. It would have probably been better on one of the 2s in the back. I think that's the play I was referring to, that I'm like, it's not great, because we still don't want that Witcher with bleeding in the back row, because then they can just go and flip it when it gets short. So we actually want to remove it regardless, which is, again, 2 cards for the job of 1 card. But I'm feeling pretty comfortable. We're in a pretty good spot here. I'm trying to split up the rows to the point where maybe Yurden's not enough to take round. Oh, this is what I was talking about. Remember how in the Nilfgaard matchup earlier I said you want to use that Dunka first. Look at his 12-point swing. Yeah, I got excited. You see what I mean? We lost 2 points on that. And with that play, along with the Griffin play, like I said, giving the Griffin in the back row the bleeding instead of just using Tempering or Caress and then going and removing that later, wasn't feeling too good about taking this one all the way. I don't think we ever were meant to regardless. I don't think it's going to cost us here, but I just think it was, if we're, really analyzing the play, that those are definitely things you want to do. We survive Yurden, which is great. Yeah, we gave them really good turn on the that Griffin Witcher. See, they flip it, they get damage from it. Wasn't feeling too good about it here. The good part is that we should probably get out another card, and there's a potential that we get out Leader as well. So it wasn't all bad. And this is the amount of tempo that we have with this deck. It's pretty nuts. Even like I said, when Torque doesn't get crazy. So you see here, we're up by 2 points. If they use these 2 points, Leader has to come down. So incredible trade. So now they have Trio, maybe Amphibious. We need Protector for sure. Circle of Life feels kind of slow for round 3. It's something that we can pull after we've played Fov with Fov, perhaps. That's too bad. I wanted to see a Hamadryad because we had the Vitality from the Leader, but are you kidding? I actually forgot I had a coffee here the whole time. We've been recording for 40 minutes. Still kind of warm. So quite into that, I mean, it's obviously not good for our proactivity here. Like, I would have liked to take a Circle, but we have to take a Caress. And then because this has Vitality, it gets a little bit awkward for using our Leader charges, so we'll just use it on a Treant. So I think that they're lining up for Siphon, so we want to make the row a bit shorter. And luckily we have that second Rebuke here. Just think of all the points we would have had from the play with Force Protector into a Bountiful Harvest. It wouldn't have been very close. If you want to nitpick back row, maybe we could have put the Vitality on the front row. Played around the boiling oil purify. Choking on my drink because I'm trying to drink it fast to make up for lost time. We missed the 50-50 on the torque as well. They get the duel here. Again, these are the push that we needed to make was necessary in round 2. The result was good, but there were a couple ways to maximize the points there. And getting into the last game of the day, this is not what you think. It's not what I thought. And by the way, let's take a second to appreciate this game board and card back. The second I saw the tweet, I was like, man, you know, I shouldn't be buying this right now. Like, but we're buying this right now. Like, look at this board. So nice. I have the other one too. With, I think it's with the rat, the mouse. You know what I'm talking about, that one. I have that board. I don't have that card back though. I just have the board. I got another Syndicate card back when I got this board. I couldn't help it. The one from like the Nilfgaard expansion, but it's like the remake of it with a bit different colors. I've been wanting a variant of that card back since day one. It is so nice. But anyways, I got that too. I'm thinking about maybe going back in and getting the rest of this lunar stuff before the event's over. I just know there's always going to be another time too. They usually recycle the stuff, so it's not like a fear of missing out completely. And we can't take this. It'll just it'll fall short. It'll hit armor. So we don't need to purify. We could go for the high roll on the left.
This moment, I've seen it already.
And you guys are probably wondering, maybe a few of you guys, why I have 15 units in a specials deck. It's because some of the units make units. So we exceed the threshold for gourd regardless. So it doesn't have to be textbook 13 unit. Yeah, so I don't know what this is exactly, but I do know they like to thrive. I just think Carapace is a little bit strange. So a couple options here we could take. It wouldn't be a bad idea to go and take the Thin. We'll stack a row a bit just so we have kind of something going on there. Too bad that didn't spawn in the range row. But I don't think we'll have to play it down that far. And I'm floating the Guardian because I feel like we can afford to here. Okay, and back to a game where torque actually works. This is good. You guys seen both sides now, like the honest review. Like, it doesn't work the way we wish it would work every time, but it works often enough that I'm happy playing it. I would say we got 5 games. It worked. It worked in 4 of the games. It worked very well in 3 of the games. It didn't work at all in 1 of the games. If we're doing a torque equation. This game worked very well. Like, if torque gets 10 points, I'm saying that works very well in this instance here. Because the 8 provision, 5 base power, it takes on the boost, it gives additional boost. Like, if we're getting torque for 12 plus points, we're doing well. That's like a round 3 hand. It sucks because on a dry pass now we have to play a Hamadryad.
Mother Earth, I grant you my life. From you it came, to you it returns.
So, as long as we don't pull into Bountiful Bricks, then we should be fine. I don't want to take mulligans just for that reason exactly. Now we can go ahead and we can start stacking and start getting all these Symbiosis units out there. We have the 3 off that, and then we've got, oh, they brought out 2 for me. And then we got the Hamadry we could play. So the only thing I'm worried about at this point would be overswarming. So we have to be conscious of when we're playing our specials. But look at the math here. This is like a perfect situation. We have 6 units with Symbiosis and 1 off the leader. So every single tree we're going to be spawning is going to be 7 points. And for that reason alone, I don't know if we care too much what's behind the defender. It's pretty wild. I'm just a little bit worried about cycling out the Bountiful Harvests here.
I could drown.
I want to take a turn and think about it. Like, look at this though. Simlast brings out the Bountifuls, which could potentially bring out more units. Okay, so it's for the Weavis. So this is like, they're doing some kind of meta breaker, right? So if I go in with the bomb, it doesn't spawn a tree. It doesn't do anything, which is kind of what we want. We just want to get that off the range row. I don't think they have a tech for it. I think they should have played, for what it's worth, the Sabbath on the back row. And this is tough too, because we don't want to, like, the most points would be the left side card, but we don't want to take them. We literally need just as little board clog as possible. Look at this. I think this might be the highest point Simlast combination you can make, is with this many. I mean, the last Ducal would be like the bare limit of it, but these Treants are nuts. The fact that we get 2 in the 1 turn. And so here's the plan. We should have chose the middle card, but the middle card might have put the boost on Gord. That's the only issue here. And so what we have to do is we have to go and we have to play Gord and Torque soon, so that we have room, and then we have to go and play the specials last. And we do lose a couple points on that because we're getting 7 points a tree that we're not getting technically here, but I think we should just be fine. Because we just run the risk of not being able to play them at all. What's nice too is that we have 2 specials left for the I keep calling him Sage because that's his old name. Scribe. So when we play those rebukes, we actually get the big payoff at the end. It's a little added bonus. So in the points that we lose from the Treants, we get back here. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't put Gezras in the list, is because I knew that the Overswarm issue would be real, and I knew that the amount of Nilfgaard matchups would be a thing too. So they really don't help our case. And monsters with Witch's Sabbath don't help our case either. So just a couple of reasons why Gezras didn't make the cut here, but I think we're doing just fine without him. Look at the amount of points. I think we can even play around like an Igni or something, or a Heatwave here. No reason not to use Dunka there, but it makes a bit of sense here to go and take that Rebuke and then use Dunka after for the points. And I definitely think you guys should try this deck out. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we will see you tomorrow with another deck guide. Appreciate you coming out. I was worried I wasn't going to use Dunka there for a second. See you tomorrow.